This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, friends. Let's start. In this session, right, I'm going to discuss about the basic architecture of AWS. This is the third part. The first part I explained about what exactly is cloud in first part. The second part I explained about what is IaaS, what is PaaS, and what is SaaS. You can find that in the playlist. Okay. So in this session, I want to explain about how AWS architecture actual or how AWS infrastructure exists. Infra exists. That means I want to discuss about like what are the different locations where AWS exists and how exactly the region means, what exactly is an availability zone, how exactly the infrastructure will be residing inside the AWS, right? We're going to discuss in this one, in this part. Okay, let's do one thing. First thing is, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and type a website called as infrastructure.aws. So it is infrastructure.aws. If you type that one, right, it will give you a overall, right, it will give you a website which will show you a detailed information about what exactly is AWS. It will give you what are all the regions AWS exist and what are all the different availability zones. This is like a visual representation of what's going on AWS, right? So if you see, so here you have like see how we do it, right? Click on it. If you click on it, right, on the left side, you'll see some stuff like this here. See global infrastructure, regions, availability zones, points of presence, network, all these things. We're going to discuss about the regions as well as the availability zones in the next few minutes. But I just want to tell you, like, if you click on the regions, right, so what will happen? So on the right side, it will show to support its global footprint and ensure customers are served across the world. AWS maintains multiple geographic locations, including North America, South America, Europe, and everything, and Asia Pacific. But we're going to discuss more about this one. This is just gives you a overall representation. What are all the locations the AWS has the presence actually. I don't say it's a presence, but it's a regions actually. You can consider region majorly as a city rather than considering as a country. You can see here the AWS is there in Milan, Italy, as well as France, Germany, and everything. But still, you cannot really call a region as a country. The region is, if you go to the United States, right? You can see United States have somewhere like a government cloud as well as 4 regions. US East 1 East 2, US East 1 is North Virginia, US East 2 is Ohio, and US West 1 and West 2. Okay, so what will happen if you click on it? Ohio, you'll get like 3 availability zones. So we're going to discuss about the availabilities, don't worry. If I go to North California, right, if I click on it, still it is showing 3 availability zones. Here also it is, I think this is US West 2, I think so. Oregon we're showing 4 availability zones. So an overall infrastructure, right, I can simply say AWS overall infrastructure is divided into 2 major things: regions and availability zones, short form AZ. Okay, regions, so availability zones. So the overall infrastructure doesn't matter which location you go. So it will be divided into 2 things. One is regions, the other one is availability zones. So we're going to discuss about availability zones and regions in this one. So what exactly is region? So if you log into the AWS, right, I'm here. If I go to here, right, in global, right, since I'm in billing, it is not really showing the complete details. What I'll do is I'll go from services, I'll go to, for example, EC2, which is Elastic Cloud Computing 2. We're going to cover that in later parts, but I just want to show you, if I go to EC2, if I go to, now right now in North Virginia, and every region has a code. See, US East 1, it is actually showing North Virginia. Imagine if I'm going to change it to 2, which is, it will actually go to the Ohio. So what exactly I'm trying to say is every region actually has a regional code which will starts with like US East 1, US East 2, like this. Okay, so imagine it is going to Ohio, right? I'm going to put, instead of east, I'm going to put west, and let's see where exactly this will go. So US West 2, I think it should go to North, no, California, oh, sorry, Oregon. So if you see like this, and if I put West 1, right, and it will go to a North California region. So what I'm trying to implying here, what I'm trying to say here is, so every region will have a code. This is the code. Okay, now what exactly is a region? A region is nothing but, you can say it is a city. Okay, simply say it's a city. It's North California, as well as if you go to North Virginia, right? I can actually, you can change it from here, or you can actually go here and select the North Virginia. So how many regions you are able to get from here? If you check it out, I should have somewhere like I can say like 18 regions are there in total. It is keep on increasing. Okay, so it will keep on every time. Right now they're not they're still yet to get the new locations actually. What I'll say, if I go to global infrastructure here, right, or if I go to home, let's see. So here what they are saying is, see in the right side, see it is showing as a region. So the orange one is a region, and region coming soon, the green one is a coming soon. So let me put like this. I'm going to click on regions actually. In the regions, if I go little closer, right, so you see everything is a blue, actually orange actually. So you have an orange here, you have an orange here, but here you can see like Milan is in green. So what exactly green implies? It is that the region is coming soon actually. Okay, and every region has some blue dots, which is actually called as availability zones, which we're going to cover. So totally how many are there right now? Right now you see, I think Italy, the Milan is not here. Totally 18 should be there, and Milan is not there. That is why it is green. Once this it is live, right, it will convert into orange, and then it is live. Okay, so simply put, what exactly is a region? I can say a region is a city. Don't call it as a country, because you can see US has 4 regions, so you can't really call it as a country. I call it as a city. Okay, so now you have totally, instead of saying like regions, right, I'm going to say we have AWS has 18 regions, or simply put cities. Okay, now I'm going to put a diagram something like this. So imagine I'm going to take a region. Okay, I'm going to take let's take Ohio actually. So I'll go and select Ohio. So what will happen if I select Ohio? So if I go here, if I select regions and I select, if I come this side, so imagine Ohio is here. If I select Ohio, what exactly is happening? It is saying that there are 3 availability zones. So what exactly is a availability zone? So consider this is as a total region, which is Ohio region, and the code name is US hyphen East hyphen 2. US East hyphen 2. Okay, now this is a Ohio region. Now let me tell you, every region is divided into availability zones. Okay, so what exactly is availability zone? An availability zone, short form AZ, is simply a data center, a single or multiple data centers. We really don't know how many data centers. It might be single building or it might be multiple building, but how exactly a data center looks like, I explained in the first video. But I still, what I'll do is I'll say, let me put AWS Ohio data center. So if I go to images here, right, let's see how a data center looks like. So see, forward deal for 12 more Ohio data centers. So if I just open this and this one, so a data center will be like this. It's very highly guarded, security fenced, and it's not easy to get into a data center because you need to have a lot of approvals. So if you see here, this is also, I think it's not an original building, but looks like Ohio data center with AWS direct connect is now open. Okay, so it is a big building like this. So what exactly the building the building contains? It is containing of a lot of racks, something like this. See this, like this, you have like hundreds of racks filled with thousands of servers. Okay, so simply put, availability zone or AZ is a single or multiple data centers. We really don't bothered about is it a single data centers or multiple data centers, because managing those data centers is not our responsibility. That responsibility lies with AWS. So for this purpose, for this class purpose, I'm going to consider a availability zone as a single data center. Okay, now if I go back here, I'm in Ohio, right? Ohio EC2. If I come down, check it out, availability zone status. It is showing US East Ohio, and availabilities are being has been denoted as 2A, 2B, and 2C. That means the availability zones are called as A, B, C. So right now, that means earlier here I checked it out, right? If I click on it, I got 3 availability zones, right? Those availability zones are listed here. If you take North Virginia, which is the biggest site of AWS, right, you'll get like 6 availability zones. Let me show it to you. So I'm going to come here. So the North Virginia have something like this region has, this is the biggest region of all AWS, which is having almost like 6 availability. See, A, B, C, D, E, F. So I really don't want to draw a big diagram. That's why I took US East, which is Ohio site. So what I'm trying to say is, if I go to Ohio here, so it is saying that one, it is having 3 availability zones, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw something like this. I'm going to draw something like this. 1. So I'm going to put 2. I'm going to put 3. Okay. So I'm going to call this as availability zone, short form AZ. So this is AZ1, availability zone 1, and availability zone 2, and finally we have availability zone 3. Now we really don't call as AZ1, 2, 3, but actually each data center, I can say like availability zone or a data center, contains a code actually. That means this is called as US hyphen East hyphen 2 is the region, and availability zone is A. And coming to the next, this will be US East to B, and third one is US East to C. Okay. Now these 3 are 3 different data centers which are also called as availability zones residing in the Ohio state. Now don't think that these availability zones are side by side. They are being differed by like a lot of miles, actually kilometers. They're not like next to each other like your flats. Okay. So imagine that each one is having a lot of distance, but I don't really know the precise distance between each, but we can always Google around. Let me put like this. I'll say like distance between AWS availability zones. So it is saying they are fully isolated partitions of AWS global infrastructure with their power infra. That means, let me tell you, each of these data centers, that means availability zones, is completely different buildings. There is no dependency on this one. That means every availability zone having its own power, okay, as well as connectivity individually. It's not like AZ1 availability zone is depending on power on AZ2, AZ3 is depending for connectivity on AZ1. No, not like that. Okay, that is what these guys are trying to say here. Okay, they said that with their own power infrastructure, that means own power, it means each one will have individual power infrastructure. The AZs or availability zones are physically separated by a meaningful distance, many kilometers from AZ, although within 100 kilometers, okay, 60 miles. That means the distance between each availability zone should be at least 60 miles or 100 kilometers. Okay, but the advantage here is even they are being different, there is a distance difference between 100 kilometers between each availability zone, right? The most important thing is all these availability zones are by default connected to each other. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, simply put, let me draw like this. What I'm trying to say is, imagine I'm going to put three different servers. Okay, I'm going to put like three servers in these three availability zones. See, I'm not going to talk about VPC, all these things right now. I'm trying to explain logically how the availability zone concept works. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, I'm going to put something like VM1 here. I'm not going to talk about security, all these things, because we're going to talk all these things later in the training actually. Now imagine I have the Ohio region, which is having three availability zones. I'm going to create three machines in this one, hypothetically. That means there are a lot of groundwork need to be done to get these server subs, like creating a VPC subnets and everything. I'm going to explain those things in coming videos. Okay, don't worry. Just imagine three availability zones. I'm going to put three different servers. So the important thing here is, since these three availability zones or AZs are interconnected, so the traffic flow will be without any restrictions. That means all these three servers will communicate without any issues. Now let me tell you the region. So but irrespective of the region, you can have like Ohio or US East one, which is North Virginia, or you can come to India, or you can go to Frankfurt, doesn't matter. In a single region, that means our single city, all the availability zones are interconnected. That means if you take North Virginia, right, obviously North Virginia has six availability zones, right? If I go here, US East one, okay. So if you see, you have somewhere around six availability zones. That means here you have six different data centers which are being at a distance by 100 kilometers at least from each other, so that even there is a catastrophe, some hurricane or typhoon or some earthquake, not everything is impacted. So that's why your data is secure. Okay, so what will happen is, so if you have a like big application which you're going to deploy, like a three-tier application which is having something like web three servers, app three servers, and a DB three servers as a cluster. So if you want to deploy it, the best way you can do is, you can do something like this. So I can put all the web servers like this here. I can put web servers here, and I'm going to put app servers. So I'm going to rename it later. I'm going to put something like this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to remove these three. So I'm going to say web server, app server, and DB server. And what I'm going to do, we're going to, let me take this, put our infrastructure something like this. So what will happen, again, of course, there is a load balances, everything, we're going to talk it later. But anyway, so what will happen if the traffic comes, right? It will be traffic comes from outside, and it will be distributed among the web servers, and it will go to app and DB from there. Okay. So what will happen, by any chance, if one of the availability or two availabilities goes wrong, your servers are all destroyed, but still you have the servers up and running without any issues. See, many people has an assumption something like this. Many people think that one, or few people maybe, or many people, they think that if one availability zone goes down, those VMs will be restarted similar to the VMware HA. Sorry. In VMware HA, what will happen? If you know VMware, right? By the way, if you know the VMware, right? If one ESX server goes wrong, the VMs will be restarted. Okay, it is actually called as VMware HA. So something like VMware high availability. So it's something like that. So if one ESX goes down, so obviously the VMs will be moved. It will be restarted. I don't say it is moved, it is restarted. So don't expect that type of thing here. Let me tell you, if one site goes down or two site goes down, those servers are gone. So it is the responsibility of us or customer to make sure that all the workloads are scattered between the availability zones, so that if multiple availability zones goes down, we can still be able to survive with the existing, because the chances, the odds of getting all the data, all the availability zones down at the same time is next to none. It's very, very rare. At least I never seen the whole region going down because all the availability zones went down. Okay, we're going to discuss more about this when we go about for VPC, which will be coming in the next classes. So overall hierarchy, I just want to put something like this. Okay, so I'm going to draw a new picture. So to make it things easy for you to understand, so I'll take as a region. Imagine I'll take as region, a big region actually. So I'm going to name it as US, anything you like, but I'm going to put as US East 2, which is Ohio. Now inside that one you have like multiple availability zones, but for example I'm going to take one availability zone as an example. So you have one availability zone, something like this. So I'm going to name it as so US hyphen East hyphen 2A. Okay, or 2A. Normally we'll represent with lowercase letters. Anyway, now what exactly in the data center, you will have nothing but racks, actually a big racks, like multiple hundreds of racks will be there, just like this. Like this we have like many racks. So I just, for the diagram purposes, right, what I'll do, I'm going to take two racks actually. So I'm going to put a rack 1 here. You have, like as I said, hundreds of racks, but I'm going to put a different color. Hold on. So if somebody say what exactly is rack, right, let me show it to you. I'm going to give you an idea how exactly rack looks like. It's RACK. It's not RAC, which is a Oracle Real Application Cluster. No, it is RACK. So I'm going to name it as rack 1 and rack 2. So like this, you have like hundreds of racks in each availability zone. Okay, so rack 2. Now how exactly a rack looks like, if I go here, I'm going to type something like a server rack. So this is a server rack. Okay, this is a server rack which has, okay, let me open some big pictures. Okay, this is a rack. It is actually, this is not really good rack, but normally if you go to data centers, right, like AWS or standard very good data centers, right, it will be like this. Okay, these are all the racks. Actually these are connected by the top level. It might be ACs or cable management. Actually, like this, every data center or every availability, they contain like these many racks. Okay, that is what I'm trying to represent here. You have rack 1 and rack 2. So what exactly is rack here? So if I go here, if I say rack, this is one rack, this is rack 1, this is rack 2, this is rack 3. Okay, like this you have like hundreds of racks. So going back, so you have rack 1 and rack 2. What exactly you contain in these racks? Now it will be multiple things like physical servers, normally physical servers, switches and everything. For the name purposes, for the training purposes, right, I'm going to say this: each racks contains multiple physical servers. If I say physical servers, one of the example I can say is, so I'll go back here, I'll say this, I'll go here, I'll say that I'll take some HP server to explain it to you. HP DL, so HP DL 380, say Gen 10. Okay, so if you see, this is a physical server. I don't exactly confirm that AWS using any physical service belong to HP or Dell and all these things, because it will be very, very costly. Okay, I'll say view image. This is a physical server. This is a front side with the bezel on. You have like lights, right? They are actually the hard drives. This is the rear side or back side of the server. So I'm not saying that, or I'm not confirming they're using HP servers, because it's going to get costly to use it. They're going to directly get a custom made servers, because Amazon is one of the biggest vendor, right? And they require every day like hundreds of servers. What they do, they're going to talk to directly to made in China or made in Taiwan or Thailand. So they're going to assemble them and get them custom made servers, because end of the day it is the same Hitachi drives or say Seagate drives, or it is the same motherboards from Intel as well as processors from Intel. It's only the cabinet changes which can be custom made, right? So like this, in this picture, right, you have a lot of every server. Normally each rack will have a size of 42U. You can ask me what exactly U means. 1U is equal to 1.75 inch. Like this, each rack will be 42U. That means you can put like 2U servers, 20 servers or 21 servers. I really don't want to go into that one. You can always Google what is a U. So what I'm going to just imagine, I'm going to have, for example, I'm going to put a physical server here, one server for testing purposes, that's it. So I'm going to put one server here. Let me put some, okay, this is one server here as well as one server here. Okay, so what is this called as? I'm going to call this as physical server. Inside the rack you have physical server and physical server. So now what I'm going to do, let me show you something. If I want to deploy a server, right, I can go to EC2 management. Don't worry about this one. I just want to show you as an example. You don't need to do this one. I just want to show you how a server builds. So I'm going to click on launch instance. And I'm going to select Amazon Linux. So as you see, I'm not deploying any physical rack or data center, nothing. I'm going to deploy a instance. Okay, so to understand if you deploy instance, where exactly it is getting deployed. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to come next, and I'm going to select a VPC. Don't worry about all these things. We're going to talk later. Just concentrate on that thing that I'm actually creating a server. That's it, nothing else. So I'm going to give a name. I'm going to call it as a test server 1. So security group, don't worry about this. Review, launch. Now I'm actually deploying a Linux server. So what exactly happening at the backend when you deploy a instance in AWS, right? AWS, we call this as a EC2 instance. AWS called as EC2 instance. Even GCP also will call it as a instance actually. In GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform, we simply call it as instance. Whereas in Azure, we're going to call it as virtual machine. Virtual machine. Okay, but all are same. So what exactly happened if I deploy a EC2 instance or simply a Linux server in AWS? So right now you can see the server is running. Right, it is running. I can even able to connect it. See, I can do is I can copy. I can go inside. Let me connect to that one. Okay, I'm connected to that one. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to install something. Right now if I copy and put something right here in the browser, nothing will be there because I didn't install anything. I'm going to install something like, you don't need to do that, but I just want to show you. Okay, yum update, yum install nginx-y. I'm just installing a web server. Yeah. So what exactly I'm doing some configuration inside a EC2 instance. Now you should understand where exactly this EC2 instance is deployed. So this EC2 instance is deployed somewhere here. Here the EC2 instance is deployed on the physical server. So where is this one? Is it done? The instance name, right? This is the test server, right? So the EC2 instance is deployed here. So I'm going to give a name, or I'm going to draw the red diagram, and I'm going to give a name as test server 1. So is it true? It's not exactly true. Directly on a physical server, you can't really create a VM. Okay, it's not possible at all. So many people think that we have a physical server, we have a region. Inside the region we have availability zone. Inside the availability zone, okay, this is a region, we have availability zone. Inside the availability zone we have a rack. Inside that we have a physical server, and we have a VM, which is not exactly true. There is one more layer here, which is actually inside the physical server. We're going to install an operating system. Not we're going to do that, we're not going to do that, AWS is going to do that. But still there is one more layer, which is actually called as hypervisor. Okay, it is called as hypervisor. Best examples of hypervisor is VMware ESXi, or Microsoft Hyper-V, Red Hat KVM, and a few days back, right? Yeah, I mean, a few years back, right? Even Citrix came with a, which is actually called as Xen server. Now, what exactly AWS did is they took the Xen server. Okay, AWS never confirmed that they are using Xen server. By the way, it is. I'll show you how we can find it out later. But AWS taken the Xen server from Citrix. They have modified it, and they are using it here. That means this physical server, right, before you are deploying a test server, which is the EC2 instance here, right, it is already installed with, let me put something like this. This is managed by AWS, by the way. You really don't need to do that, but you should understand the architecture. So what I'm trying to say is each physical server is actually installed with an operating system which supports the hypervisor. So I'll explain what exactly this hypervisor does. Okay, so I'm going to say the name as hypervisor. You have the hypervisor. Now, what exactly is a hypervisor? Okay, let me put one more diagram. Imagine a traditional family. Okay, imagine a normal traditional family where the husband goes for work, wife's the wife will take care of the kids. Okay, just traditional family. Yeah. So I'm going to put a physical server. This is a physical server. Okay. Now, inside the physical server, you need to install an operating system, just like Microsoft Windows or VMware ESX server, like that. It is actually, we're going to install VMware or Hyper-V or Red Hat KVM, whatever it is. So it is actually, it's an hypervisor actually. It's a hypervisor. Now we have some 3 machines actually inside this one. Yeah, just put, so I'm going to put something like this. 1, 2, 3. Now imagine this is a family actually. So in this family, I'm going to say this one. I'm going to say the physical server is actually the father or dad. Okay, dad who works and get the salary or get running the family actually. But you know that the physical server, what exactly physical server will do? Physical server will give like physical server will give you resources. I said dad gives the salary, right? In this case, physical server gives you CPU, memory, storage, network, main infrastructure components. Okay, and the security as well. But I'm going to put like CPU, memory, storage, and network. So imagine this server has, for example, like 8 CPU, physical CPU, and 32 GB RAM actually. Just imagine. Okay. Now father will do the job, and it's hard for the father to come back to home and take care of the kids as well. Now I compare hypervisor, right? Hypervisor as mother, and we all know that how we are closer to mother, and at least mother will take care of all the kids necessity, right? Imagine I have 3 VMs. I'm going to call this guy. This guy is a 5th standard kid, 5th class, 5th class kid, and imagine this guy is actually going to the 12th class, and this guy is studying his graduation. Imagine he's studying like a, bachelor's degree. I'm going to say a BE electronics, for example. Now, if you see, you consider this as a VM1 like a web server, and this one as app server, and finally this one as a DB server, for example. Now, it's a normal thing. Web server has different requirements from app server has a different requirements for DB server. That means fifth class kid has a different requirements having a small chocolate, whereas a guy studying actually BE should give the chocolate to a different person like his girlfriend, right? So that the requirements differs. So who exactly going to see these requirements and act as per requirement? So mother knows everyone. Okay, my small kid requires a small chocolate, where my elder kid need to go to the college. He has a different requirements, right? So it is a mother who is going to allocate all the resources. In here, it is a mother is nothing but the hypervisor. So from the father, it will take this 8 CPU and 32 GB. We can configure this server as 2 GB, for example. This can be 4 GB, whereas this server is 8 GB, for example. So what will happen? Who is going to give whatever they're asking for? It is the hypervisor, nothing but the mother, who is going to allocate the resources for each kid here or each VM. So in the overall architecture, what you need to understand is, under the physical server, you also have basically hypervisor. Inside that one, you have the test server. So rather than I'll put something like this, I'm going to, instead of having one test server, so what I was saying, you can have multiple servers. So I'm going to put like this: 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put web, I'm going to put app, I'm going to put DB. Okay, similarly, these 3 VMs, these are all VMs. Red ones are virtual machines, actually. You can call EC2 instances. So in here, I deployed a test server, right? Even should be installed with, I need to start the service as well. Service nginx start. Okay, if I refresh, I should get a website here. Okay, let me copy this. I'm going to come here, I'm going to put something like this, and you'll get the web server. So where exactly this web server is installed? It is installed on this machine. Where exactly this virtual machine or EC2 instance or server sitting on? It is actually sitting at the back end on a physical server, which is having hypervisor. That physical server, see, this is, imagine our test server is web server, for example. It is on a physical server and it is on a rack. It is actually on a one of the availability zone, and that availability zone you can be in is in Ohio. So if I draw a little big picture, I'll make it small. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, let me delete this. So what I'm saying is, you can have such a multiple availability zones. What I was trying to say is, you can have like this multiple availability zones. So like this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going a little bigger. Like this, you can have multiple availability zones. The name will be US East 2B. I'm going to remove this. You can have US-East 2B. Like this, the Ohio can has 3 different availability zones. Let me delete this one as well. So what I was trying to say is, I'm going to move this appropriately. So we have this one, and I'll have one more actually. I'm going to put that down. So I'm going to make it a little larger. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put it here, and overall it is under the one region. Total region is one region, right? Which is actually, now I'll make it bigger. So this is how. So totally this is actually called as Ohio or US hyphen East hyphen East hyphen 2 or Ohio. Under then you have US East 2A, 2B, and finally you have one more availability zone, which is actually US 2C. Maybe in future it will increase. Don't think that this is the final actually. Okay, it's all supply and demand. If more number of people using East to see, if people are start increasing using Ohio, right, more, so what will happen, they start adding, just like in North Virginia, right, they start adding the availability zones. So finally this is the overall architecture of AWS. It starts with the region, it goes to the availability zone, inside the rack, physical server, and hypervisor. What you need to understand is we really don't have control on anything. We only have control on the virtual machines. We are not control these servers, we're not going to control these regions available. It's managed by AWS. Okay, this is how the AWS works basically in every region. Don't expect this only for Ohio. Every region it works in the same way. So all these availability zones are interconnected. So if I clearly put one server here, they start communicating easily with everything, so very simply. Okay, so how are we going to secure that? We're going to talk about VPC and everything from next class, which is a part 4 actually. So this is what I want to tell you. Hope this will help you. We'll meet in the next class, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And for any training purposes, right, for AWS, Azure, as well as DevOps, there is my meeting, my email ID at the bottom, and I conduct classes, weekday classes actually, and also weekend classes. I'll send as you can actually contact me and ask for when is the next batch starting. We can always discuss. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys. See you in the later. Yeah, bye.